Hello, everyone. My name is Suzanne Sangiovese, and I'm the Commercial and Communications Director at Riskline, a travel risk intelligence company. Riskline has more than a decade of experience working remotely as a geographically distributed team, and today we operate in more than 12 countries and across 9 different time zones. With our global team, we thought we'd try something new and take a deeper look at local perspectives on the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, I'm speaking with Diego Maloney, one of our analysts for the Americas region at Riskline. Diego is normally based in Washington, D.C., but recently traveled back to his home state of Arizona. Hi, Diego. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Suzanne. How are you?
Not too bad. I could complain, but I won't complain. How about that? So as I mentioned, you've recently traveled back to your home state, and you did so by plane. What was the situation like at the airport you traveled through? And did you notice any new measures in place? Were people maintaining social distance? Anything at all that you kind of picked up while you were there? A lot of us, that were frequent travelers, now we're sort of grounded at home. So what was your situation and perspective of travel domestically in the US?
Well, yeah, it was a strange experience, to say the least. I noticed similar things at all the airports I traveled through. They were super empty with only one or two restaurants open in an entire terminal. And road traffic was condensed into a central location regarding arrivals and departures. Also, TSA actually had to open a lane for me as the staff were on break when I arrived at the security checkpoint at Ronald Reagan International in DC, which after several trips through that airport was unheard of. It was very strange. Social distancing was self-enforced and people were generally respectful of each other's space. Essentially, all three airports I was in on my way back home were deserted. So, yeah.
That's definitely new, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very strange.
So what about your in-flight experience? How did it differ from domestic air travel pre-COVID-19?
It's almost like I had a private flight home. And that's because there were no more than 13 people on each of my two flights, essentially giving me my own 6 rows, which was nice. And flight attendants encourage people to, respect social distancing measures, which was relatively easy since there were so few people on those flights. And people couldn't sit near the back of the plane where the bathrooms were. And in-flight food and beverage service was also not available on any of my flights.
Right, almost like a private plane, like you just said, silver lining perhaps of everything that's going on right now. So as I mentioned, you were living in Washington, D.C. as the outbreak hit. How do things compare right now in Phoenix?
Well, restrictions are essentially the same in Washington, D.C. and Phoenix, so there are no noticeable physical changes. However, attitudes about the pandemic differ slightly. People in general seem more tense about the situation in DC, whether it's talking to friends or cab drivers or whomever. And I think that's understandable given the city's close proximity to New York, as well as the fact that the area is more densely populated compared to Phoenix. Um, I think that's also because life is less affected here. For example, people rarely use public transportation in Phoenix, myself included. So those types of restrictions are definitely felt to a lesser degree. Regardless, life seems to be at a standstill in both cities, so I'm glad I'm able to wait this out with my family rather than alone in my apartment back home.
For
Or rather,
sure, it's all about that mental health, right?
Mhm.
So
Definitely.
speaking of mental health, what are you also doing kind of right now to cope with what's going on? You're at least now back with your family, you're not going at it alone. What other kind of measures are you doing at home to stay sane?
Yeah, well, it's nice being home with the family. So, we're doing family activities like my parents and I have been walking our dogs most days. We all need the exercise, so it's been really nice. The dogs included, they get really tired, but it's really nice. Plus, I live next to a mountain reserve, so there's a lot of wilderness to explore. So that's been, taking up a lot of my time. Also, I'm able to train with my former boxing coach here in DC a couple times a week, so that has made it a little easier after everything shut down in DC. Besides fitness, my family just got Hulu, so I'll start binge watching once I finish this semester at Johns Hopkins this coming week.
Very nice. A
Yeah,
little entertainment after all that hard work.
yeah, yeah, seriously.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much, Diego, for just taking a few minutes of your day to come online and join me. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Bye.